So in a specific performance suit, there will be a property, and every property, any real estate property, will have boundaries. So what is a specific performance suit? I am not going to explain because video will become lengthy. In simple terms, it is a case that is filed in the court for a breach of agreement of sale. I will, in a simple terms, to understand the contents of this video, I will put it like that. In any sale deed also, there will be the description of the property, which is called the schedule of the property, and which will have boundaries. What is to the north, what is to the south, what is to the east, what is to the west of the property must be described in the agreement, in the sale deed, and in all consequential documents. If that is not done, and then the suit for specific performance will fail. So not only this, any disputed property, a property whose boundaries are not traceable. For example, in a joint property, the boundaries are not traceable. If one of the partners of a joint property sells a piece of the joint property without boundaries, then that suit for specific performance will fail. Supreme Court, way back in 2013 itself, in a decision between Pawan Kumar Dutt versus Shakuntala Devi, reiterated and clarified that the boundaries of a property must be clearly mentioned in an agreement of sale. Without mentioning the boundaries, without identifying the property, clearly, if an agreement is entered between the parties, there is no problem in filing a suit. But if the court wants to grant a decree, that is to say, if the court wants to grant an order which doesn't end there, it must be executed. Merely granting an order without execution, there is no purpose itself. In any case, there will be two sides of a case. That one is the order part and the other is the execution of the order. When a case is filed, the court doesn't know whether the case will be allowed or whether the case will be dismissed. If the case is allowed, the person in whose favor the order was passed will execute the decree, which will execute the order of the court against the person who lost the case. If the case is lost, the person who indirectly wins the case will execute an order of the court against the person who brought the case to the court. So therefore, if court is unable to execute the decree, there is no point in granting a decree. It will reject the case straight away. So therefore, if there is a mistake in the boundaries of the property, if the boundaries are wrongly mentioned by the person who is filing the case in the court, court can't grant a decree. If court can't grant a decree, the defendant will take a defense that the property cannot be identified. Under those circumstances, the court is bound to dismiss the suit filed by the plaintiff. Not only this, if there is a dispute in the property also, if the defendant can prove that there is a dispute in the property, if the boundaries are wrong in the property, if there is a double registration in the property, it is the burden of the defendant to prove all these allegations. In those circumstances, court is bound not to grant a decree and eventually dismiss the suit, because there is no point in granting a decree which cannot be executed. Court is very clear on that aspect. Court will not grant a relief which cannot be executed. It's waste of court's time. So whenever an agreement is entered, it must be very clear to see that the agreement must be performed. If there is a mistake in the boundaries, the agreement cannot be performed. If there is a title dispute to the property, the agreement cannot be performed. If there is a possession dispute to the property, agreement cannot be performed. If there is a dispute to the source of consideration, if the consideration is benami or money laundering or any other illegal means, then the decree cannot be performed. If these facts are brought to the court by the defendant, then the suit will fail. And especially suit for specific performance, which is a special kind of suit, meaning that the property which is entered into an agreement will have to be registered, or the agreement must be performed specifically. The difference between specific performance and a general performance is that in a general performance, the breach of agreement is compensated by way of damages. In a specific performance, there is no such property in the entire world. It has to be compensated by the property itself. Therefore, it is called specific performance of contract, unlike general performance of contract where the breach of agreement is compensated by way of money or any other form. Here, because that piece of land is so unique in this entire world, with the boundaries itself which are so unique, no boundaries in an entire world to a property is same. Every property has different boundaries. So boundaries become a very important part. The schedule of the property becomes a very important part. A single mistake in the schedule of the property, the suit gets dismissed. Hope I am clear. Thank you. Thanks for watching. If you have any doubts, kindly comment.